All right, super. So I am going to talk to you guys about faith that grows. And growth usually comes through perseverance. So I'm very glad that I got to follow Molly and her incredible story. And thanks, Alex, for your story, too. I know you were nervous. You did a great job. So faith that grows, what I'm going to do is a little bit different. I'm just going to tell you my story and why I'm here. 2022 was COVID. Everybody knows that. I know you guys were all a bit younger than some of the adults in the room, but it was impactful for everybody. And during my family's time during COVID, we went through a couple of challenges that really tested our faith and in the end made us a lot stronger. So February of that year, my husband took a new job, and that job was in Tampa, and we were living here, so we had to move. I was also 7 months pregnant with our second kid, and so I said, cool, we can start that, but I'm not leaving until after we've had the baby, which I know a lot of you in this room don't understand that whole process of life yet, but when you get there, you'll think about my story. And so I said, that's cool, you can start the job, but I'm not moving until after we have the baby. So he started working. He would go to Tampa Monday through Friday, come home on the weekends. That was rough for us, but we still got to be home. We were surrounded by family and friends, and so that was at least a blessing to have them. Had the baby end of April, moved to Tampa 6 weeks later, into our home on June 1st. On June 15th, for you math whizzes in the room, that's 2 weeks after he started the job, or after we closed on the house, he came home and he said, I don't have a job anymore. And I said, what? He said, yeah, they said because of COVID and how unknown everything is, they're not going to pursue what they were going to do, so I don't have a job. But we got to keep the signing bonus, which, again, most of you don't know what that means yet, but it did not make up for leaving everything we knew, everybody we know, those that we love, our home, and moving to a place where we knew nobody, and it was COVID, and everything was shut down. So you didn't get to meet new people, and we had little kids. And so I very quickly went into a place of helplessness and aloneness. However, in the same time that I was doing that and feeling really selfish, what am I going to do? Why are we here? My husband went into a darker hole of depression, anxiety, and feeling like a failure. Picked up our family and moved for a job, and didn't work out. He's supposed to be a provider. This is not me. This is his thoughts in his head. And so he immediately went to a very dark place and leaned into a lot of things that are not good for you, whether it was substances or activities, to try and avoid feeling any of those feelings. And that left me feeling even more alone and needing to deal with everything going on in our lives. So I had to give up on maternity leave and start working right away, get a babysitter for the baby, and kind of take care of everything. And that went on for a couple weeks, and we got to the point where this was just not going to work anymore. And so he agreed he needed to find some help, which meant leaving our home and our family for a while, which then left me actually physically alone, aside from feeling like that. And so my feelings of desperation continued to grow. And I got to a place where one day I dropped our kids off at daycare, and I drove to the beach, or what was the beach where we lived. It wasn't anything as good as we have here. Another reason I hated it. But I just drove to the water, and I parked my car, and I just screamed at God. I screamed a lot, and I cried. And I just said, I don't know why we're here. I don't understand. What is your plan? Like, you've had me here for a while, so show me. Tell me what it is. I don't want to be here anymore. And I screamed for a really long time. And I got to the place where I had nothing left. And while I was doing that, again, sitting in my car, a song came on. It's a little bit older. Some of you in the room might know it, but it's called Alive and Breathing by Matt Maher. And the entire premise of the song is taking joy and being thankful just for waking up and being alive and breathing. and that should be enough for the day. And I started listening to that song every single day in the morning, and it would get me through every day. It became my reason for getting up. I had my kids, and I had plenty of reasons for getting up. I understand that. But just taking joy in being alive and that this life God gave me should be enough. And while I was doing that, my husband was getting help. And he did come home. And the first day that he came home, a stranger showed up on our front door and said, "Hey, I'm here to pick him up. We're going to a men's group." And I was like, "That's strange. I don't even know this guy." And then the next day, a different guy showed up, said, "Come on, we're going to a group." And the next guy, and the next day, and the next day. Every single day, men of God showed up, put my husband in a car, and took him to a Bible study. And that went on for basically as long as we stayed in Tampa. We eventually came back here, obviously. But what ended up happening is that through my husband's revitalization and restoration in his faith, I also found mine. And so I can tell you that after yelling at God and being angry and having nothing left, all I could do was come to him with my humility and my belief that there was a reason for this. And there was a reason for us being drugged through, quite literally, our rock bottom. And coming through it and being that much stronger in our faith and as a family. And so I want to read a quick scripture. This is James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. I think they have it on screen. I've had this highlighted for a very long time. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its works so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking in anything. So you must persevere to grow. I'm going to go off script. Sorry, Rachel. I'm going to jump to verse 12. It won't be on screen, I don't believe. Blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. So basically, there are going to be times that are tough, and they're unintentional. So the challenge that I will leave with everyone today is that a lot of you are probably facing tough things that the rest of us don't understand or don't know about. It could be depression, addiction, lying, trouble with friends, parents, whatever it may be. And when those trials press in and they feel heavy, you have to remember that it's not the end of your strength, but the beginning of your growth. God is using this moment to refine your faith, build your endurance, and shape you into the one you were created to be. So don't run from those hard seasons. Lean into them with joy. Remember to breathe and be happy for the day. Embrace the challenge. God is working in you, and I promise you, he will never give you more than you can handle. And with that, thank you for having me.